Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for September 4th, 2024. We're doing our week one NFL picks against the spread video for the 2024 NFL season. Looking forward to this all summer. Can't wait to break down these picks, the first of 18 weeks, the regular season. So going to do that in a second. But before we do, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be really appreciated. As you can see here on the merch store, we have a ton of t-shirts, including our September is Lust Month shirt, which you can get for $18.40, which is, I think, quite the steal. So for a high quality t-shirt in this economy. So remember, lust rights are human rights. So make sure everyone knows about it. And then I wear these shirts all the time. Wearing this shirt right now. It's part of our fall collection. So you can get it here at the merch store. Any purchase here, even a mug would be great. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. You guys have been so awesome with your contributions. John Sanders, Slew, Germ, Degeneron, Kevin Kovac. You guys have been so awesome. So I would say this all the time. YouTube ads pay nothing, and plus we last night's show got a little wild, so we might get demonetized. So any contributions in that regard would be really appreciated. Also, please consider going to Amazon to buy my books. My third book is Jerks of the College Years, which if you like Jerks of the Week, you'll like this. It's just a book where I make fun of people. So, you know, if you're in for a laugh, you might want to get this book. Also, my other book, my second one was How the 2020 MVP Was Stolen. So this is the story about how Brett Favre tried to sabotage Aaron Rodgers' MVP. It's an expose I wrote, so you guys might enjoy it as well. But anyway, without further ado, we are joined by Eytan Shander of oddshopper.com. Eytan, how's it going?
I got to get one of those shirts to wear on Fox 29, man. You know, just send me a couple
awesome.
and I'll just go on the rotation.
Yeah, I'll gladly send them to you. Yeah, I don't know. You might not be welcome on Fox much longer if you wear one of those shirts, but it'll be worth it, I think. just to troll people. I'm always down for a good troll.
I'm always up to push, you know, if it's,
yes.
They call it trolling now, right? We used to call it push people. So
yes.
That's fine, you know?
Yes.
Some of the most successful entertainers, whatever genre, are those that push. So I'm fine with pushing.
Yeah, so am I. I like to do it all the time. So especially on Twitter, right. Like that's my favorite thing is just like respond to people. And my favorite lately is like asking like how many cats do you own, just to get
nice.
Some people get so angry about that. I'm like, what? I like cats. Like, why are you so angry about this? Anyway,
it's great. It's a great insult for some reason because it works. Yeah, I don't know why. You're right.
Yeah, it really does. All right, so we're going to break down all 16 games. So we're in the super contest together. I figure we should say that. So we have a joint entry. And hopefully we take down first prize. So that'll be nice. But we'll have to come to a consensus with 5 picks at the end of the show. But like I said, we're going to break down every game. The Thursday game is hard to put on the card because you have to submit it early. So I don't anticipate doing that unless it's like Thanksgiving or something. So might as well talk about it though. Ravens at Chiefs. The line is Chiefs -3. It's open to 3. It's like it's 2.5 in some places, but still 3. Do you plan on betting this game at all? Because I have a good bet on this one.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of bets on this, and I didn't realize what happened with Baltimore as far as the offseason, where their offensive line coach passed away. Now I know they're honoring him and Jacoby Jones, and I got to give a shout out. Our guy Mike put out this email, and I was reading this. But George Warhop is atrocious. The guy that they hired, he's one of the worst offensive line, at least when you look at some of the things of records that he's had. 18 years he's coached offensive lines. He's had one team with a winning record. That was Tampa, 9-7. He's only had 4. He's been on 4 teams finished with winning spreads, 29th or worse in scoring 9 times with his offenses. And it's just, you keep going down. Like he's 127, 153, and 10 ATS. And I get it. Like it's not always an offensive line, what have you. But remember, they're also now, that's the base. They're starting 3 new offensive linemen. And you just look at how bad Warhop has been with this specific area. So I immediately went over and bet over 8.5 rushing attempts at plus 115 for Lamar Jackson. I think between design runs and knowing that this offensive line has a combination of a just proven bad coach with new talent on this line, I'm looking at Lamar to do that. I think there's probably an angle to get some alt rushing yards, but that was one thing that I played here. And the only other, I went under 10.5 wins, by the way, for Baltimore to even money, thinking that they're going to struggle, I think, with their offensive line. But that was the only thing that I played in this game, to be honest with you. I'm probably going to throw something crazy like, a same game parlay or something for the Discord, but I'm pretty much holding steady right now.
Yeah, we'll be doing the same game parlay as well for the site. We always do that for the night
Okay,
games.
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to do that. It's plus it's fun. No, I like the Chiefs quite a bit here at -3. I think this line's way too low. It's kind of says no. I know you don't get like 3 points for being at home anymore, but it still says like the Chiefs and Ravens are kind of close, which I really don't see. I mean, you mentioned the offensive line; they lost 3 linemen plus their offensive line coach. It's kind of a disaster. I don't know how they're going to move the ball consistently against a Kansas City defense that has like very good pass rushers, and I think that like my main thing here is it's kind of like a narrative based thing, but with Patrick Mahomes, you tend to win some of those a lot. So Mahomes is a guy who's going to have a big chip on his shoulder when necessary, or when he thinks it's necessary. Like I remember this is back in, I think it was 2000. He was playing against the Jets, and the Jets were awful that year. That was the year they were contending for Trevor Lawrence. And he had like a midweek press conference. It was like a Wednesday or something, and he looked sad, and he was like, I really thought the Jets were going to draft me. I was so surprised they didn't draft me. And I listened to that. I'm like, oh my god, he's going to destroy the Jets here. And he threw for 5 touchdowns against them. He didn't play the whole game. He won by like 30 points. It was a massacre. And do you think he's going to be motivated here? Because Lamar Jackson was voted as the top quarterback in the NFL on the NFL top 100 list. And as it so happens, he goes against Lamar Jackson in the first week of the season. Like Mahomes is going to be dialed in here. He has a better receiving core now. Andy Reid, great coach coming off extra time to prepare. I know John Harbaugh is too, but I just think the Chiefs had the better team here. So I like them quite a bit. So I'm going to be betting four units on them. As long as it's 3 or less. And, there are some 2.5s out there. So maybe we even get a better price on it. But it looks like the public is on Baltimore, which, it makes you like it even more. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially with the offensive line issues now. I think we're lockstep there for sure.
Yeah, people just don't pay attention to the offensive line stuff. It's
It's
a good way to get an edge, I think, especially early in the season when people don't realize that a team can't block nearly as well as it used to. So, all right. So second game here in Brazil for some reason, the Packers versus the Eagles.
Now, at least.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. The Eagles are favored by 2.5. This was like Eagles -1. It's popped up a little bit to 2.5, not quite 3 yet. So, we'll be very interested in this one. It's a little annoying because we usually have our Friday calls about the Super Contest, but we'll have to do it after this game or during the game. I don't know, but anyways. So, are you leaning toward a side in this game? Because I'll tell you this, Tom is like begging me to submit our contest card early because he loves one side in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
So the first bet that I made for the 2024 season was on April 10th, and that was under 51.5 in this game. So it's dropped a little bit. It's 49. I think 48.5 is out there as well. I still think the under is, I don't think there's much value. Like it's gone, I should say. I think value is gone because it's gone through 51 clearly. But, well, I mean, I think this game could probably be played down to 46.5. And the reason is because everything is different. Everything. Oh, and by the way, it's the first game of the season. So what's more likely to happen? The fact that the Eagles, who are more talented in the sense of like you could put them anywhere, and especially on offense, I would think, and the Packers can put up some points, don't get me wrong, but they're in Brazil. You already heard Devontae Smith, no comment. Darius Slay hates the fact that they're going there. You think they're the only 2 players on both of these teams that feel that way? No, these guys hate the fact that they have to go to Brazil. So, and they're not even bringing their families. So you can't, London and Germany and other places, you could Mexico City, you could bring your families. You can't even bring your families here. So point being is that there's so many new things for both teams. Then you add the fact that the Eagles barely had a preseason. They don't have they really had no synergy whatsoever to get up to gear with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. I think this game just screams getting used to it. And if they score points, it's probably going to be flukish, and it's probably not going to be sustainable throughout the game. So I may sweat with like 17 early points, but I think those will come off like a turnover, sloppy play on offense, something like that, a broken special teams play, stuff that's not sustainable over the entire game.
Yeah, I think initially thought this game might go over just because I thought maybe Saquon Barkley against a Green Bay defense that really struggles against the run. Historically, for years now, like they haven't been able to stop the run. But then, I think you were on the show it's like a month ago or so, and you brought up that point, and it just got me thinking that I think you're right about the total in this game. So yeah, if I were to play the total, I think I'd go under. As for a side, it's hard for me to get here. Like Tom loves the Eagles, and he just thinks that the Eagles are the superior team, and I do too. I think the Eagles are maybe the best team in the NFL, or at least the NFC. But I think the Packers are really good too. So I really don't see much of an edge here personally. Yeah. Like I might make a small bet on the Eagles just because I like how, like I said, Barkley matches up against his defense. Also, Jair Alexander is not what he once was, so A.J. Brown should have a great game. And I think one thing to consider, and maybe this is not maybe like this is a nothing burger, but a couple years ago when Matt LaFleur went to London, he kind of like freaked out. He missed a meeting. He was like complaining about the time change. And I know that like this is not London time, this is Atlantic time, which is 2-hour difference from Central time, which he's used to, but still it is international travel. Maybe he just won't like it. Yeah, so I don't know. I think of these two teams, I think the Eagles are more likely to be prepared well for it, but really it's a weird international game. I don't really want anything to do with it, and the fact that we have to submit it early on the card just makes me not interested in it.
I agree. It's an ugly game. I like the under. I hope, as we're both Eagles fans, I hope Tom is right here. I'm probably going to watch it as that, just a fan, knowing that I got the under.
Yeah. Well, Tom's the Packer fan, so.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, it's interesting that he likes the Eagles. Although
Tom he's reverse psychology in this. Oh, actually, I guess it's for the card, so I can't say that. He's putting his money where his mouth is.
He is. So he said he's going to be on Thursday's show. Nice. So he says he's going to try to convince me to submit the card early. If he makes a great argument, maybe I'll do it. But I'll give him the pushback that we came to a consensus on. So let's get to the games that we can actually consider for the card. So the first Sunday game, Jaguars at the Dolphins. This line was Dolphins -3.5. It's down to 3. I think the weather is very important here. It looks like 88 degrees and sunny with 72% humidity. So Miami has this weird stadium where the opposing sidelines in the sun and they're in the shade. So it's a big advantage for them. It's the only September game they have at home, though, in 1 o'clock hour. So any big lean on this game?
I have a couple of different things spread throughout, and I honestly have to say, Walt, I have absolutely nothing. I mean, I may play some player props if Odd Shopper pops up with them, but and clearly I'll tell. I'm open. I know for our card, like I'm listening, but I have nothing in this game at all that I lean towards. I mean, the Dolphins only laying 3. It's a little bit of an eyebrow raise. I would think that it would be a little bit wider there, but I don't have any play on this game.
I have a small play on the over. I just think that there's going to be like no defense in this game at all. I think the Dolphins are going to be a radically different team this year. Like last year, they got out to these big leads and they sat on the ball because they had a great defense. Defense was in the top 10. They had a great running game. Connor Williams and Robert Hunt, like opening up big running lanes. Those linemen are gone. Their top pass rushers are both injured. I think that their defense is going to be a lot worse. And so I think Jacksonville's going to throw on them. But I also think Miami matches up really well against Jacksonville because the receiver is going against those bad cornerbacks that they have. So I feel like it's going to be like a pinball game. I have it like projected at like 49-42. It's going to be like, might be the highest scoring game of the year, really. So the total is only, 49?
49, yeah.
49.
Below
So
that 51. I can see that. I could
yeah,
absolutely see that.
yeah. So a small play in the over. I usually don't play totals, but I think this one looks pretty good. There are 2 totals I'm playing this week. So yeah, but as for a side, I just don't really see anything like the situation with the Miami Heat, like not the team, the actual Heat. It seems like it's going to really benefit the Dolphins just because the Jaguars going to like wither away in the second half. But at the same time, I think Miami's overrated. Plus, they have a game against Buffalo in 4 days, so they may not be focused.
That's huge. Yeah, the look ahead right there. I get that. No,
Yeah.
I didn't have anything ahead of time, but I like that. I'm going to look at the over here at 49 for sure.
Yeah. Cassandra says, I love the Jaguars here, especially at a fair 3.5, which is available. Yeah, if you're getting the hook, it's a little different. I just worry about taking the Jaguars in the second half. One thing I might do in this game is bet it live. Like if the Dolphins fall behind like 10-0 or 17-13 or something, just to bet them, just because in the second half, the Jaguars might be just wearing down because of that heat. And
yeah, and you'll probably get an even money price at least with that 3-point line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. So betting it live, that's something we're going to do more this year, as we discussed before. So, so we don't like this game. So let's go to the next one. Steelers at the Falcons. This line is Falcons -3. I really liked this before. Like about a month ago, or maybe even less, like about 3 weeks ago, I thought I was going to be on one side in this game, and now I'm not touching it because of some moves the Falcons made. They signed Justin Simmons, they traded for Matthew Judon. I thought Atlanta might be one of these teams heading into week 1 that's overrated. I love fading those teams, but now that they got Judon Simmons, it feels like the hype might be warranted. I don't even know if they're getting a lot of hype because I thought there might be, but the public is pounding the Steelers here, which is pretty shocking. So do you like either side here?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was at 3. It dipped to 2.5, right? And then it moved back to 3. So it's not just public. I think people, sharp money too, recognized at 2.5 that if it comes back to 3, and that's where the public money driving it back to 3. So I can't be shocked now that people are hitting it again at 3. I think for me, it just comes down to how many people are in new positions for Atlanta versus Pittsburgh, where we know that there's a quarterback spot. But look, we also realize that there is a quick leash for Russell Wilson. Like, if you were to look at the over-under snaps in this game, I don't even know if you have something that you've created for Fields, what have you, but I don't think Wilson lasts long if he's making mistakes. And you have that. This is not Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott, somebody with even like a Gardner Minshew behind them. This is a real quarterback controversy, if you will, heading into, but that's it. Like everything else is locked in place. I think they get a little bit better, especially, hopefully at least, but looking at it to protection on that offensive line because they needed to. But the reality, I think, Walt, is just looking on the other side. Everybody's in a new position. Everybody's in a position that is new, and in some cases, they haven't done things before. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You look around, head coach hasn't been in this spot, right, with Atlanta. Even Kirk Cousins comes in, and this is a new team for him. So while I agree with you, when you add players that you laid out, like especially taking advantage of what happened up in New England with Judon, I think it still takes a week or two. So I still think that this is the week to capture that value against Atlanta. You're getting them on a key number here. Look, if I lose, I think there's probably a better chance to get blown out than keep this thing tight. But I really think that Pittsburgh's up in this game and that ultimately that 3 plays comes into play here. And I think just getting the 3 against a team that has so many new components was the big appeal for me.
Interesting. Is it like a big bet? Or are you considering the card, or is it just like a
no? This was a play that I was absolutely considering for the card at 3.
Okay, well, I'm not opposed to it. Like I'm not betting on Atlanta, so I'm gonna write that down here on my notes. But yeah, my worry here is first of all, to add to your argument, Mike Tomlin as an underdog is usually like where you want to go. In his career as an underdog, he's 58-34 against the spread, which is unbelievable. And by the way, I was gonna ask you this question later, but might as well ask now while we're talking about coach records. Which current NFL coach has the worst spread record in the NFL? Don't think too hard.
The worst spread in this game? Are you
Oh, no,
saying
no,
that
no. In the NFL, period.
Saints, Dennis Allen?
Yes, Dennis Allen, the worst.
There you go. That's my guy. I love fading him.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the reason I'm bringing this up now is because there's a caveat here, is because he was the second worst last year because Arthur Smith was the worst, and now he's gone. And bring up, there's no bigger new component than Arthur Smith.
But here's the thing.
Right, Arthur Smith has the familiarity. I think that you're going
exactly, and that's what mitigates this, right? Like if this were your argument, I think holds in general, where it's like, okay, you're going up against a team that has everything intact, but Arthur Smith knows this football team, and I'm not arguing that Arthur Smith was successful. Clearly, he's not. He's also not in a position where he's running the football team. He's just running the offense. Oh, by the way, are you guys familiar with Matt Canada? That was the worst offensive coordinator for a long stretch of football last year. So my point being is that, first off, he's an upgrade at the offensive coordinator position just by you have to be how bad things were last year. But I think what mitigates that slew and red eye is the fact that there is, as Walt said, a sense of familiarity with his football team. You have a couple of players too on this Pittsburgh team that played for Atlanta. Like there's a good sense of familiarity with it. And within the locker room, guys playing against their own team and people kind of circling around that. I just think there are a lot of things working for Pittsburgh, whereas it feels like, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so you tell me, it feels like the recent moves just kind of moved you away from this game. It didn't tilt you towards Atlanta in any conviction.
No, I'm kind of like 50-50 on this game, really. I don't anticipate betting it just because I hate Russell Wilson so much. I refuse to put any money on him unless he's like a big underdog or something and you're just hoping for a backdoor cover, which is like generally like the best thing he does is like he tends to fall behind by 14 and then he just throws these touchdowns and gets to 4 and then he throws a pick 6 to just kill you. So I don't know. I really hate the idea of backing Wilson. Mm-hmm. However, you're right. I mean, Arthur Smith knows this team. There are players, like you said, Cordell Patterson, for example, on the Steelers that know this team. So it's a weird situation where they play each other week 1. I feel like if this were like a week 10 game or something, I'd be more likely to maybe bet Atlanta. But at this point, I think this. I do think the Steelers are definitely worth consideration for our card. They're not going to be in my card. I like 6 other games a lot more than this one. Okay. But if you really want this on the card, I'm not opposed to it. As long as we're getting +3, the official lines come out for the contest in about 23 hours. So we'll know for sure if it's 3.
If it's not 3, I'm with you. We're not
taking
taking 2.
Yeah. If it's 2.5, I have no interest. Nope. But yeah, 3, nope. 3, I could definitely see it. So,
yep. Okay.
I think there's a good chance for a push here, which you're not hunting for pushes, but still half a point instead of nothing.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. So I wrote that down. Steelers +3. We'll move on to the next game. So this one, Vikings at the Giants. Vikings are favored by 1.5. Tom told me that a betting friend of his is everything he's winning in DFS, he's putting on the Giants, which I was like, you can't find a better team to bet in week 1. Not that I'm opposed to betting the Giants. Do you have any lean on this game?
Yeah, it's not for the card. I think if we were desperate, I would come back to this, but I don't want to downplay the fact that they're on like my second tier. So if we had to pick 7 games, maybe, or 8 games, then I think the Giants would absolutely make the cut. Look, I think the Giants only have value. In this case, they don't have a ton of value for the contest, which is why I don't want that number. But if I'm betting this game, I'm taking the Giants as a money line dog. And that's simply because you're looking at a tale of 2 shit teams and the consistency that you're hoping for with New York versus still a heavy adjustment for Minnesota, especially like circling around the quarterback position. I don't think there's a lot for me to extrapolate in this game outside of Daniel Jones rushing for, I had him in a couple of player props, including at any time. DK gives you these no sweat tokens, so I used one on him to score a touchdown. But Yeah, there's not a lot of meat on the bone here for me outside of taking in real life the Giants as a money line dog.
The big thing for me here is that the Giants are going to be in a teaser of mine, so moving them from 1.5 to 7.5, just getting all the key numbers. I think
Nice.
that's the best way to play this game. I think I do
Yep.
like the Giants if I had to bet this game, and you're right. Like if we were in the Golden Nugget contest where you had to pick 7 instead of 5, I think the Giants might be like the 7th.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's not, if we're getting +3, it would be a lot better. But I find it odd that Minnesota is favored on the road, where Minnesota is one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, what are they doing being favored on the road? I think that's because people. Two things. One, people remember how bad the Giants were last year. It's very easy to remember that. And two, Daniel Jones was horrible in that preseason game. I think it was the second week of the preseason. He stunk it up. He was he was awful against the backups. And so it's like the opposite of that. The fading the overhyped team is to bet the trash team in the preseason. And I think people are like quick to forget. I said they remember easily last year, but I think they're quick to forget in 2022. The Giants made the playoffs, and they had a ton of injuries last year. Now they have Malik Neighbors. I know Saquon's gone, but they have Malik Neighbors. They have Brian Burns defensively with Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and some other guys that they have on the defensive line. I just think that they have enough talent to kind of rattle Sam Darnold. I called him Sam Bradford in my write-up today. It was Sam Darnold.
Nice. He'd be lucky to be Sam Bradford.
Yeah, seriously. So Sam Darnold against this defense. If the Giants secondary is better than I think, then I think that the Giants are going to be a good play. I'm just worried about their secondary against the Minnesota receivers. That's my only real concern here. So, outside of backing a bad team, so I'm making a small play on the Giants at +1.5 plus the teaser, as I said. But yeah, not going to be on our card, I don't think.
Nope, by no means.
Yeah. Barron says Giants with 4 Pythagorean wins last year, 1-5 with Jones starting, and the lone with 28-point comeback against the Kylus Cardinals. That was insane comeback week 2. I remember that. I had Arizona in that game, so it was weird that we had to sweat it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. So next game. So this is going to be my card. Panthers to Saints. This line is Saints -4. It was like 5. It's dropped a little bit here. So curious to hear if you like either side here.
Carolina +5 is what I got August 1st. I'm sticking to that. If we can get 5, I mean, honestly, I know overall it doesn't matter. I can't imagine we're going to get screwed with anything less than 3.5 on the contest line. So I'm good with taking it down to the hook here. But you're talking about 2 guys that I think we have to fade until otherwise. And Dennis Allen is absolutely one of them as a favorite. Now, ideally, it's a road favorite, and I understand that. But I think it was last time, and again, I'm trying to think of when I was on. Maybe you said a month ago. Maybe that was it, because we were talking about the same time in which I bet Carolina. So I might have, and I don't say this as any other way than the fact that I'm just fried with the 2 young kids, as you know. But it might have been like I got off the show and immediately bet Carolina as a result of that. So if you have Carolina +5 in real life, then I'm sure that I tailed you. But the reality is that I think you talked me into the quarterback, and that was the only concern that I had here. The only concern that I've ever had with this team, as far as like them not doing anything consistent in this dog shit division, is the quarterback. And if you can get around Bryce Young in any way or capacity, not only do you have a team that can cover this game, but you have a team that realistically has value now to even win this division from a betting standpoint. So yeah, I'm on Carolina. I love fading Dennis Allen, and I absolutely love fading Derek Carr.
Yeah, so I did talk you into it. I think I love the Panthers here. They're one of my they're like my third.
Put them on the card, brother. I love it.
All right, awesome. So just to rehash what we talked about like 3 weeks ago, or maybe it's a little longer. Actually, it's No, it was in July. So the Panthers are going to be a lot better than people think. And every like power ranking I see, the Panthers are in like the bottom of 3, bottom 4. Bill Simmons had this like weird pyramid thing that he released today. Like the Panthers are one of the bottom 4 teams. I'm like, just not paying attention to what's going on, because they signed Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, like two really talented guards, and that was a big issue for them last year, was the interior blocking. Just gonna be a lot better. They got Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. They drafted Xavier Legette, so the receivers are actually going to be able to get open this season. And then they hired Dave Canales to coach up Bryce Young. So yeah, maybe Bryce Young is still not going to be good, but he's at least going to be better than he was last year. John says they lost Brian Burns, which is true, but they got some reinforcements at linebacker. They got Josie Jewell to play linebacker for them. He's really very talented player for the Broncos last year. So where they got weaker at the pass rush, they're going to be better in the middle of the field. So I like the Panthers to make a big jump this year. Not like playoffs maybe, or they could, like you said, they could win that division. But I think like 7 wins or so is definitely within reach for them, especially in this bad division. And so yeah, I love betting against Dennis Allen. And you said Derek Carr. Derek Carr is the favorite, by the way, as a favorite of 3.5 or more. It's 9-19 against the spread in his career.
It's just not a good guy to bet.
Yeah,
and like quarterbacks and head coaches are defined by that at least more than anybody else combined in this game. So when I see something like that, there's just something to it, right? Like maybe he clams up, or maybe it's bad luck, or maybe it's variance, but I'm willing to ride it until proven otherwise.
Yeah, me too. Especially against an underrated team like this. So glad we're in agreement. Next one is Patriots at the Bengals. I've reversed course on this game from earlier in this offseason. So Bengals are favored by 8.5. I think it was like 8, then went up to 9, then back down to 8.5. So it's been jumping around a little bit. I think this is another teaser consideration. So are you, do you have any consideration for this on the card? Because I actually do.
No, the only way that I am playing this, well, here's the thing. I'm still over 4.5 wins on a parlay, but I don't think that this is going to be the game, clearly. And I'm not trying to sit here and convince otherwise. I would be, if you on the card are looking at like our last slot and you want to take the Bengals, then I'm listening. I would have to think. I think I would need a lot, even at 8.5, knowing that it's steaming that way. I think I would need a lot to go on the way of the Patriots.
I'm not going to convince you of New England at all. So about like a month ago or so, I was talking to Tom and I was like, New England seems interesting at plus 8.5 just because the Bengals under Joe Burrow in weeks 1 and 2 in his career, 1-7 against the spread. They just seem to get off to a slow start. But then it's kind of like looking at the results closely. And, the 2 losses they had last year, Burrow was not nearly 100%. He was dealing with a calf injury. Against the Steelers, remember they lost to the Steelers in 2022 as 7-point favorites. That was when TJ Watt was playing. Watt had an insane game. The Steelers that year with Watt were a really good team. So like these results, I just don't know. Like, first of all, it's a small sample size. Second, like I just don't know how seriously to take these results. And I think that this actually could work in our favor if you like the Bengals, just because the Bengals might be looking at this game and thinking, hey, we've gotten off to slow starts before. Let's focus on getting off to a hot start. So I think they might be more focused than they usually would be, which is good news because they have Kansas City next week. So I think they might be more focused than I initially thought. And so I think they're going to play better. My main thing here, though, is an angle I like for week 1 is to fade rookie coaches plus rookie quarterbacks. So you have Gerard Mayo, and I know Jacoby Brissett's not a rookie, but it's his first start with the Patriots team. He's obviously he was there before, but with this new team. And so generally this is just a losing situation for teams in week 1. They do very poorly. I think they hit like 35% against the spread or something, these combinations. So I think the Patriots are really going to struggle. Plus their offensive line might be the worst offensive line in the NFL. I don't know if you saw that the game they had against the Redskins in the final preseason game. It was on like a Sunday night or something. the Patriots had 8. They played their starters, I should say, except for the center.
Right.
Against Washington's backups, they had 8 penalties. The offensive line alone had 8 penalties in the first half. And the official, was the funniest moment, was like, illegal formation once again on the offense. They announced this, so I was dying. Like this unit is so bad. And if Belichick was still coaching, I'd be like, okay, Belichick's going to figure stuff out. This team's going to be competitive. There's no Belichick anymore, and this team was horrible last year with Belichick. So yeah, the Bengals easily for me. I think they win like pretty handily.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't even think that this number gets crazy until you hit probably like 13. At this point, you're at home, you're opening up the season. This is not week 7 where you're on a short week trying to get through a game. I think on a home opener, it pushes it even more so that you're going to score and you're going to try to run this up. Not to say that you're going to put 50 up on them, but yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't really anticipate this being on the card, but I'm open to it depending on how we finish for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be on the card either, but like the more I think about it, the more it just makes sense to put the Bengals on there. So they're either my 5th or my 6th pick. So I just can't really decide at the moment right now.
No, let's put them on. So far, we have what? Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah, let's put them on.
Okay, I typed that in. Sue says Panthers plus points this year and Saints favored. A wonderful thing for the season. Yep, exactly. Cassandra says, I don't think I can bet Bryce Young in week 1. Carolina is tempting here, but I'm not sure I can get there.
Yeah, well, I get it.
Think of it this way. You're not betting Bryce Young. You're fading Dennis Allen and Derek Carr as big favorites. You know, just the Panthers are going to be a better team this year. So plus Bryce Young covered the 3.5 last year. In week 2,
already moving in our favor.
Yep. John says got Chase at 10 PPR tonight because of the holdout threat. That's awesome. I almost got him at 10 last night. I got Justin Jefferson at 10. Kimmy says no Chase, has the line moving toward the Patriots, and so this has me thinking that maybe I'm gonna lock in the Bengals, because if Chase resigns like Trent Williams did today, like what if he resigns tomorrow? This line's gonna go to 10. So I might lock this in. And if there's no Chase, I still think the Bengals are gonna destroy the Patriots. I don't think they need Chase for this game. No, yeah, they'll need Chase next week against the Chiefs, but not this week.
Not correct.
Yeah, so it says Bengals GM owner have to be idiots for not getting Chase signed. Tight wads, yeah, they're notoriously cheap for sure. John says best survivor pick. Yes, I have my survivor picks on the site. I'm taking the Bengals this week. I have a 9-week plan that I don't know if you know Whistles Go Woo, but he the DFS player. So he wrote actually an essay on like, because he's a professor. Like he wrote this whole essay about how to approach Survivor, and he takes like a 9-week approach. So he goes like in week 1, he goes weeks 1 through 9, and he like tries the game theory, like how he's going to play it. And then week 2, he reevaluates and goes weeks 2 through 10, and so on and so forth. So that's what I got inspiration from that, and I have it on the site. And then money line Kansas City and the Seahawks, or a 6-point teaser, Colts plus 8.5 and Panthers plus 8.5, 11.5. Let's say you. I don't really see
go with the teaser personally.
Yeah,
not that you're getting a ton there with the Panthers at 4, but at least you're cleared already.
Yeah, I mean, I we'll talk about Colts Texans. I think that's a tricky one. I really don't like either personally. I like what do you get from Panthers from 5.5 to 11.5? Like, I just don't see the edge there. Yeah, you get 6 and 7, but you don't get 3. So like the math doesn't add up.
No, I mean personally, I'd rather bet, and we'll talk about the game, but
yeah,
I'd rather bet the Panthers on the points and the Colts on the money line.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way too. All right, so let's move on to the next game. Titans at the Bears. This line was, I think, 5 or 4.5. It's down to 3.5.
4.5.
Okay, yeah, 4.5 down to 3.5. Yeah, a lot of the action steam toward the Titans here, which I can't really say I'm surprised. So who do you like in this game?
I was prepared to have the Titans on the card.
Okay.
So are you? And look, the biggest thing is just we've just seen how bad it is for quarterbacks that are drafted first overall. And I don't care who else is on this offense. It's still game 1 with a rookie taken number 1. and it's in Chicago, where it's just difficult to play that position consistently. And it's with Matt Eberflus, who is 2-10 straight up last 2 years within this division. He's just not a good enough coach. They don't have good enough talent around in the coaching staff to bump up, despite getting Rome, despite getting DeAndre, despite getting anybody else that you want to look at here. I get it. Like, they're a better team on paper, but the NFL has just not been kind to people in Caleb's position. And I think while Caleb Williams is going to be a good talent in the NFL, we're talking about week one. And in week one, these guys have struggled mightily in their opening game. And the Titans are dog shit. I get it. But I think there's a reason why we've already seen this market. We'll see what happens to it. But I think we've already seen that point evaporate. And people understand that this game is far closer. Look, the guy has yet to play in the NFL. He's got to win a game by 3.5. Walt, by 4 points, which is the hardest thing to do in the NFL because it's the biggest key number. So you constantly see it fall on 3. Now he's got to win a game by the most popular hook. It just, for me, I love the Titans at 4.5 if we can get them. 3.5 is not a killer for me either. But I definitely think that there's a lot in fading. Just again, it's week one. And you and I have done this before. And you know that I harp on this. Usually it's just 1 week, and it's this one about familiarity versus having no clue about what's going on. And in this case, I'm just fading the latter.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said except for one thing, and it's going to make our argument toward Tennessee even better. Is that you said you don't like Tennessee at all? I actually think they're one of the more underrated teams in the NFL.
Okay.
I like them quite a bit. Like, if you look at their defense, they signed Ladarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie to play on the outside. They're going to have 2 number 1 cornerbacks on the outside. They trade for Ernest Jones from the Rams, who's a really good run defender. He's not bad in coverage. They still have Jeffrey Simmons. They still have Howard Landry. Like, they have a really good defense, I think. The defense might be in the top 10. And then on the other side of the ball, they signed Calvin Ridley. They have Tony Pollard then now, who looks electric. Like, in the preseason, he looked like his former self. The only question mark, it's like the Panthers. Like, the only question mark is the quarterback, Will Levis, but he has a lot of talent, and he looked good in a couple games last year, like the first game against Atlanta and then the upset against Miami on Monday Night Football. Like, he's had some really good moments, some bad ones too, but he was only a rookie. And now they have a new coach there, Brian Callahan. He should be able to coach him up, and the offensive line is not bad too. So, like, I don't think the Titans are going to make the playoffs or anything in the AFC. If they're in the NFC, though, I think they could maybe sneak in as a wild card. It's like the 7th seed or something. So I think they're going to be a good bet for most weeks for me, and like, including this one. And, for all the reasons you said, like, I think that the Bears are the overhyped team heading into week one. Like, I see so many people saying the Bears are going to be, the sneaky playoff team. It's like, well, everyone's saying that, so it's not going to be that sneaky, and it's just because Caleb Williams is there now. Like, they have a good receiving core, and Williams is talented, but I mean, Williams was on USC last year, and they weren't even top 5 in the Pac-12. So, like, why would he suddenly get the Bears to the playoffs when they have a shaky offensive line? Outside of Montez Sweat, they have no pass rush. I don't know if they can stop the run. There's some other questionable spots in the secondary. Like, I don't think this team is that good. I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're that good. And I think Tennessee's even better than Chicago is. So I think the Titans went outright, and 3.5 looks awesome. So they're definitely gonna be in my card.
Nice. Yeah, let's add them.
Yeah, they're my number 2 pick this week. There's one game I like more than this one, so okay. I'm glad we're in agreement here
so far. Yeah, love that one.
Yeah. Let's see here. Pro 16K disagrees, says Bears win easily. Carter says, honestly, some of our teams below average. They had a good offseason, so can't get past 2.5 for home field advantage. Yeah, I think it's like 2 for home field advantage now. So,
right. It's dipped a little bit.
Yeah. The last number 1 quarterback to win week 1 was David Carr in 2002. Do you remember that game that he won?
Houston Texans?
Yeah. Do you remember who they played for bonus points?
Oh, my goodness. In 2002 to open up the season. I remember he got sacked like 60 times that year.
Yeah. This was a Sunday Night Football game.
It can't be the Eagles.
No. Well, close, but no.
No.
It's Dallas Cowboys.
Nice. Okay. Even better. Yeah, Cowboys. Yeah. Good job, Sanders.
Yeah. Yes, the Cowboys. So that was a big upset. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but see, that's the thing, right? Like, it's not about the supporting cast. It's just looking at the talent itself, right? Like Joe Burrow. Look at these guys who were taken overall. We've seen some guys just have the talent to thrive, but we're talking about week one. So even though you have talent around him, DeAndre Swift is new, Odunze is new. Like, your wide receiving core is new, and you don't have a proven staff that can take that talent and say, okay, let's mold it into something. So I agree with you. Like, that's a good point that to raise, that he hasn't had, or he has more talent around him, but you still need A, to activate that talent, and B, to have the staff, if you will, to say, all right, put him in the right position. It's going to take time. I'm under their
yeah,
win total, 8.5 wins at plus 130 this year.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. It's a lot on
No,
it.
yeah, Carter says, Walt, earlier this summer, you broke my heart saying the Titans might be the worst team in the NFL. Glad you're seeing the vision now. Yeah. Well, I'd like to reevaluate here. I was down on the Titans, but the more I look at their roster, the more impressed I am with it. So it is like Sue says, it's a shame that they're in the wrong conference because, like I said, in the NFC, I think they can make a run for the playoffs, but there are just way too many good teams in the AFC, unfortunately for them. All right, so next game, Cardinals at the Bills. This line was 7. And I really thought about writing up Arizona +7. I think it was like in July, and I just didn't do it, and I just regret it because this line is now down to 6. So I'm curious about what you think about this game.
The only thing that I played in this game and can't play it on the card is the under and the total. Just think that you've got two teams, especially defensively with Jonathan Gannon. When this team's healthy, he's a good defensive coach. They have enough talent, I think, to kind of limit this. I'm still kind of up in the air to see just what Buffalo is going to be this year overall, knowing that they can make a killing in that division. The line, as you mentioned, at 6 didn't really appeal to me either way. I just don't trust. I don't know. And you wrote about it there as far as like how bad their offense was in the first half versus the second half with Brady. And I don't know. I think ultimately there's just a lot about Buffalo that I don't know, not even trust. Trust, though, is the wrong word. And I want to see that play out. I think defensively they're easier to bet than they are offense with the volatility there. I know it's at home, but I went under that total. I don't want them on the card personally, but I'm listening if you are.
Arizona is my top pick of the week, and in fact, they might be
Wow.
my pick of the month. I have them winning this game outright. I think that these two teams
Was it
are.
Hamlin?
What'd you say? No, because Hamlin. Well, that is part of the reason that the middle of Buffalo's defense looks so bad with Matt Milano out. Like Milano missing, it just makes their defense so much worse. At least they had good backups last year, and now they're gone. So like the linebacking core is in shambles. Their safeties are both gone. Like it just feels like the Cardinals they'll be able to attack the middle of the defense all game with Trey McBride and James Conner as a receiver out of the backfield. So like that's like one reason why I like Arizona. But I think that these two teams are some of the most misevaluated teams in the heading into the season. Where along with like maybe we're talking about earlier, like maybe Tennessee or Carolina. Some of those teams. I think people are down on Arizona just because of their record last year, and I don't think that's fair
I
because
think that's fair.
Kyler Murray was out for half the season, and he came back, and he had some good performances. Like he went into Houston, he almost won that game. He lost by 5. He went into Pittsburgh, he blew out the Steelers, and then he went to Philadelphia and he beat the Eagles. Now, like granted, the Eagles were kind of in a tailspin, but still, there's just still 3 impressive games that he had, and then in the final game, he almost beat Seattle. And this was coming off a torn ACL where he just wasn't 100%. Now he's good. Now he's going to be 100%. So I think he's going to play better. And then on the other side, you have this Buffalo team that has a brand new receiving core. Curtis Samuel might not even play. He's banged up. So we'll see what happens with him. But even if he does play, they have these new receivers. Josh Allen has barely thrown to them. And I just worry how they're going to gel right away. And also, one thing to factor in is that the Bills have to play the Dolphins in 4 days. Like, I don't really see them focusing on this non-conference team at all with such a big game coming up. And this line is just way too high. I think the spread should be like closer to 3, maybe 3.5. So I think we're getting some great value on Arizona. This line's being steamed down from 7 to 6. It's like sharp money coming in on Arizona. I think that this might be my pick of the month. Just have to look at what the injury report looks like. So as long as it's we're in the clear, I'm gonna make Arizona my pick of the month.
Wow. Yeah, I don't have any objections. Like I said, if anything, I was leaning towards. I mean, the under to me plays into the Cardinals, at the very least, covering the spread. Okay. Where are we on the card without Arizona?
So we have Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Cincinnati. So we have one more game left in the early slate, and then 3 at 4 o'clock games, and Sunday night, Monday night. So
all right. Well, look, if you have this much conviction on any game, then I'll roll with you here. I may in real life put a little sprinkle on them to win the game outright. So let's put Arizona down as the 5th game.
Okay, I'll put them down as a maybe toward the bottom. So we'll see. Maybe we'll like some other games. So Sue says this game reminds me of when the woeful Broncos beat the Bills. You know what this game also reminds me of? Last year was Week 1, Tampa at Minnesota, where like that was another game where like the public just didn't evaluate the Vikings well enough, and the Buccaneers beat them. I think this is going to be kind of similar. So. Let's see. Cassandra says for what it's worth, I'm extremely high in Arizona as well. This game reminds me of last year. So I think Levis is somewhere between bad Daniel Jones and good Dak Prescott. If he's good Dak, I think the Titans are easily win playoff team in the AFC. But of course, he's Daniel Jones. No, yeah, it's really tough. Like there's so much variance with him right now. And then later in the season, I think the Bills later in the season are going to be a good team to bet, like once again. But I think they're going to get off to a slow start with these new receivers. So, all right. So we have one final game left in the early slate. The Texans at the Colts. Texans are favorite 2.5. I had a tough time evaluating this game, but you said you like the Colts in the money line, so I'm all ears.
Yeah, it's just a money line play here, and trying to get ahead of what I thought would be a little movement. And again, it was only at plus 110, half a unit for me in real life. So I'm not heavy or big on them. I think you look at Houston, this is a team that experienced an immense amount of success in a small amount of time. And this is also, and I know that not everybody is on the team over the last 3 years and there's rollover to it. And Stroud is clearly a talent, but it takes a lot to sustain that. And week 1 in the NFL, where you've had all year or off season to look at this tape and to look at this kid, it's tough on the road in division. I don't necessarily think that it's as easy as that to just say, oh, they're going to pick up where they left off. So as a home dog, I thought there's some value there. At 2.5, there's absolutely no value in the card. So I wouldn't even push for the card here.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what to make of this game because I like both of these teams. I think the Texans could win the Super Bowl, and I think the Colts can also. Like, they're my long shot to win. I bet them at 70-1. I love their offensive line, top 5 maybe in the NFL. Shane Steichen, I think, a great head coach, or at least looks to be that way. Anthony Richardson is an amazing talent. They have Taylor, who's not holding out this year. They have Pittman, Adonai Mitchell look good in the preseason, and their defense is maybe not top 10, but maybe top 15. So I think this team has like what it takes to go pretty far. So these are two teams I like, so I don't really see like a great opportunity here. If this is like 3.5, then I would like the Colts more, but at 2.5, just don't really see anything. I'm leaning toward the Texans just because I have a feeling that CJ Stroud just might be one of these amazing like quarterbacks who, like, by the end of the year, we might see him as the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. Now maybe not, but he was so good last year. He had the best rookie quarterback season ever. And now he has, on top of a healthy Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs to go with Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. Like, he has so much talent there. And maybe he's going to be one of these quarterbacks like a Mahomes or a Brady, where like you just bet them.
Yeah.
As long as he's not a big favorite, and then you're going to have you just bet him blindly, and you're just going to have like positive EV. Like that's what we have with like Brady and Mahomes. Stroud, after his first 2 games last year, he's 10-6 against the spread so far in his career. So I just kind of want to like maybe get ahead of that, but then again, I don't know. I don't really want to bet against the Colts. So yeah,
No
Carter's
need
saying
to
this.
force this on the card. That's all.
Right. Carter's saying this too. Colts secondary is too much of a concern for me against the Texans team. Yeah, that's the weak part of their team is the outside cornerbacks. So trying to go against Collins and Diggs just might be too much. But then again, I think the Texans are weak to mobile quarterbacks. So I think that we saw that with Lamar Jackson. They couldn't stop him in the playoffs. And in week 2 last year, Richardson ran all over them. Like I think Richardson just could have a massive game. I'm going to play him in DFS, but that's like really the only thing I'm doing here.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the late games. So there are 3-4 o'clock games. Raiders at the Chargers. I already bet this one. So this line was 3. I saw
they're on the Raiders.
How'd you know?
We're on opposite sides here, but I don't think that this is a real life bet for me. This is not it's not a card bet for me.
Okay.
I do really like 2 other teams that I think we could add to this discussion. But for me, this is not one that I really was rushing to put the Chargers on it. But I also think that you don't have I think what you saw last year, and I know that there's some injury concerns, at least dealing with last year, but I also think that a lot of this was the change of coach. And I don't know how sustainable that is. Like the emotion right now, it's about X's and O's and actually game planning and executing. They were riding this incredible emotion of just not having to deal with a bozo anymore. And, like when you fire a guy that nobody likes, guys start to play. And now you've got the Herbert injury. That's also on the other side of it. So I don't know. This one here, I love what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman have done together, especially with mobile quarterbacks. I wouldn't put Justin Herbert in the same category as Colin Kaepernick or Lamar Jackson, but when healthy, the guy has the ability at least to move around a little bit. And you've seen offenses that are just tough, really tough the first time around to grasp it when you see Greg Roman's offenses. And if Herbert were healthy, that's why, and I bet it. I bet it before the plantar fasciitis, and I slammed it. And now I'm like, it's not worth it for me to put it on the card.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. The plantar fascia that he has. I saw a medical doctor. I don't know if you saw the guy on Twitter. He has like a huge following, and he does a lot of sports injury stuff. And he was saying that an injury like this follows you the entire year. And so I as soon as that injury happened, I bet the Raiders +3, just thinking like, what if Herbert doesn't play? Like the Raiders would be favored with like Easton Stick, or they got another quarterback there now. Forget who it was. So it's not Easton Stick anymore. It's Taylor Heineke. So like whatever. I mean, whatever. I think either way, the Raiders would be favored over that quarterback. And I love fading backup quarterbacks against top 10 defenses. I think that's what the Raiders have. They were number 7 defensive EPA last year, and now they have Christian Wilkins. So I think the defense is gonna be a lot better. And they were number 2 against the run, and the Chargers want to run the ball like that. Like they've said that so many times. They made their draft plans all about that. They passed on Malik Neighbors for Joe Alt so they could run better. But the Raiders are stout against the run. They're second against the run. So like with J.K. Dobbins coming off the torn Achilles, or Gus Edwards who sucks, or Kamani Vidal who we don't know anything about him. Like I don't know how they're going to run the ball. And then Herbert has all these new receivers. It's kind of like the Bills where Herbert's going to have to figure things out. And unlike Josh Allen, he hasn't even played at all in the preseason. So I don't know. I just don't know how this team's going to move the ball consistently. But then again, like the Raiders are like they've Gardner Minshew. So like they could always self-destruct, but they at least have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers. Like they have good talent. So I think the Raiders win this game, especially if Herbert's just bothered by that foot injury. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I mentioned before that I like 2 totals. This under is the other one I like. I feel like this is going to be like a 13-10 grinder, 16-13, something like that. I just don't really see any points scored in this game. So Raiders and the under for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's see where we are, because I don't think either one of us are racing to jam this in with what we've had so far.
Okay. Kimiko says the Chargers game screams under. Yeah, exactly.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good under bet. Cassandra says I said it last year. Most people hated me for it. I'll say it again. Antonio Pierce will go down as a joke of a head coach. He got away with running a team like a record label for a few weeks. You could be right. I mean, yeah, that's what Eytan was saying. That like, yeah, the luster is going to wear off. So you could be right about that. Yeah. Lion King says DJ Reader starting versus Rams A gap clear and present danger. Yeah, that's we'll get to that in a few minutes. So that says congrats, it won't work long term. Yeah. John Sanders is too funny. What's he say? The hardball energies.
Yeah.
Carter says, I think Pierce's purpose right now is to tank whilst being a coach that the fan base both doesn't completely hate and will be happy when he's fired at the end of the season. That would be a shame if that's his whole purpose. Mike says he'll take the Bills and give the points, however.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. So second 4:00 game. There's the Odd Shopper promos, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. You guys, you can sign up here. Make sure you shop for the best sports book, the best odds. I say that all the time. Redskins at the Buccaneers. This line is Buccaneers minus 3.5. I think I've seen some 4s as well here and there. It's yeah, right now, no, it's right. 3s. I saw some 3s. So like 3 minus 1 and 15. So this is a game where I don't have a good read on. Do you have any lean on this game?
I went under, and the biggest reason why is because the Bucs have just played to the under here consistently last year. This was one of the toughest places to just put up points overall, and it wasn't because they were knocking everybody out. It was just overall, they weren't scoring a ton either. It wasn't like they were like lighting up teams 38 to 10, something along those lines. You also, again, you go back to just how new things are with Jaden Daniels, and I think what gets lost here, and it goes back to a point we were talking about earlier, is I don't care who you put around him, right? Like they did not put Hall of Famers, immediate like guys who are changing the game. It's no knock on Terry McLaurin. I'm just saying in general. This is not all league, all world guys who are going to just eliminate mistakes. By the way, you still have to make reads. You still have to deal with a tough defense. And I know that there was a guy or two that's gone from Tampa, especially on that linebacker core, Walt. But I think it's an underplay for me. I would lean Bucks by all means. But at 3.5, there's no way that I would jump on that number over what we've had already on the card.
Yeah, 3.5 is the worst line to bet in football.
Can't take it.
Yeah, you need a really good reason to bet 3.5. And the only thing I'll say here is that I talked about earlier how I love to fade the new coach plus new quarterback combos in week 1, and this is the second instance of that where Dan Quinn was the coach for the Falcons, obviously, but this is new. This is his new job for the Redskins, and Jaden Daniels is obviously a rookie quarterback, so this is a situation to fade them. But I just can't lay 3.5 with like a crappy team like the Buccaneers. They're a bottom 10 team in the NFL. And so if you consistently bet bottom 10 teams at minus 3.5 or higher, like you're going to lose a lot of money doing that. So well, this could be like a rare instance where that wins. And yeah, like I said, I'd lean toward Tampa, but I can't put this on the card or bet it, like, period. So I like your underplay though.
Yeah. That's really the only thing that I think I can do here from a concrete standpoint. I can't put that in the contest.
Yeah, me either. All right, last 4:00 game. Broncos at the Seahawks. This line, it keeps moving up. It was like 4.5 or something, and now it's 6. So there's a lot of public money coming in on Denver, and the line keeps rising. Looks like sharp money on Seattle. So what do you think about this one?
I'm under in this game. You've got way too many people that are in important positions that are in new spots. And I think you just look at Seattle coach, Denver Bronco quarterback, start there. This is an underplay for me. Defensively is how Seattle's going to win this game. And I just don't know, no knock on what they're doing. I did not have a huge feel on this game, to be honest with you. I think mostly it was just going under that total at 42, getting above 41 for me, knowing that Denver's defense is going to have to carry a rookie quarterback. and that Seattle's dealing with a new coach, and you can't look at any of the trends or anything historic with Seattle anymore because Pete Carroll's gone. So all the shit that he pulled out of that hat is done. And I think that there's just, again, there's too much that I'd have to trust on both sides to take a side. And it doesn't even matter if I agree or not with how this is being steamed or where the sharp money's in. I'm under.
Yeah, I think I like the under as well. I'm not going to bet this game. I would lean towards Seattle just because, the rookie quarterback deal. I know it's not new coach plus rookie quarterback, but still, like, Bo Nix is not someone I liked. I thought he was a second round prospect, and he was taken at number 12 just because Denver was so desperate, and now they're starting him. He looked good in the preseason, but you know who else looked good in the preseason? Last year was Kenny Pickett, who looked amazing, and then you saw how bad he was. And
exactly.
then,
good point.
Yeah, and a few years ago, remember Daniel Jones's first preseason? He looked like the second coming of Joe Montana, and we've seen how that went. So you can't really read anything into the preseason. And something else to consider is that I talked about how bad Joe Burrow was in the first 2 weeks of the season, but that was a small sample size. Sean Payton, in his previous 10 years, in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, 3-17 against the spread. Is so bad last year. And you would think that, okay, maybe it's different in Denver, maybe just something else happened in New Orleans, but no, last year in Denver, week 1, they lost to the Raiders at home. Week 2, they lost to the Redskins at home. So they had 2 home games. Now they're in Seattle. It's a tough environment for a rookie quarterback. I just feel like this team could just implode, this Denver team. And, this game could be like 17-6 or something, where Denver just doesn't get anything going. It's like 13-6 for a while in Seattle, 10-6 for a while in Seattle. It just pulls away with a late touchdown or something. What bothers me here is that the Seahawks are missing Uchenna Nwosu, who's a really talented player for them. They were the contrast with him and without him in the lineup last year was just there's just a super stark contrast. Like they were great against the run with him, like terrible without him. And now he's out again. So I don't know. I like Seattle's not a good team. I don't want to lay 6 with them, but if I had to bet a side, it would be Seattle. Luckily, we don't have to bet sides here.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah. Says, what's Sean Payton's record for week 1? Well, weeks 1 plus 2, he's 3-17 against the spread. Not a guy. Yeah. So it's going to be a bad record regardless. And Kimmy Kinigo brings up a good point about this game. He says Houston scored 45 versus Cleveland in the playoffs, and against McDonald-led Baltimore defense, they only scored 10. So he should demolish Knicks in his rookie start on the road. So yeah, I like the idea of going with a smart defensive coordinator against a rookie quarterback.
Those usually go well when you bet that on that side.
Right. Chris saying, hello, Walter. Can we please start over? All right, let's go. Baltimore, Kansas City. No, just kidding. All right, so you can just rewind. All right, Sunday. We have one more 4 o'clock game, then Sunday night, and then Monday night. Cowboys at the Browns. The Cowboys open 1.5 point favorites in May, which I was shocked. Like I saw that, I'm like, wait, is this in Cleveland or is this in Dallas? And then now Cleveland's minus 2.5. I have a strong play in this game. I wonder if we're on the same side.
Yeah, if I don't have a play for the contest because of where this line is at 2.5, but in real life, I would lean heavily towards the Browns. And also, if you like the Browns, I think that 41.5 being above 41, getting under that would probably correlate too.
I like the Browns quite a bit. Dallas has they lost 2 of their best offensive linemen this offseason with Tyron Smith and Taylor Biotish. And now they have to go against Myles Garrett. So
good luck.
I know that's I think one of the worst matchups for any team in the NFL in week 1. Plus, if you look at like position by position with these teams, except for quarterback and receiver 1, the Browns are better or equal to Dallas everywhere else. And even receiver 1 is not like that drastic. I know like CeeDee Lamb's amazing, but Amari Cooper is a really good player too. So Cleveland's just a much better team overall, I think. And this line is being priced as if these teams are about even, which I strongly disagree with. Like the Cowboys are just not a good team. Like last year, we saw what happened to them in the playoffs. They had a bunch of fluke victories throughout the year. They get trashed by the Niners in like the one real game they had, and then they get to the playoffs. They get destroyed by the Packers. They can't stop the run at all. Like what do the Browns want to do? They want to run the ball. Like
Yep.
the Cowboys won't be able to stop Jerome Ford. If Chubb were playing, this like forget about it. But even still, like Ford had some good games last year. I think he's going to have another great game here. Cleveland has a top 5 offensive line. They're going to push Dallas around. So as long as Deshaun Watson doesn't screw up too much, I feel like the Browns are a pretty safe play. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I got him at plus 550 to win the division. I think a lot of this hinges on Deshaun Watson, but you have another year. Mm-hmm. And wins like this are the reason why. And I don't think they win by a point or two. This is a convincing win at home. You see every year that he's been there, at least with Jim Schwartz and this defense and the splits at home. Not even splits, I shouldn't even say that, but just how well he's going to take advantage of a matchup. He's not an idiot. He sees what's going on with Myles Garrett up front, and there's going to be opportunity created for that. So I'm with you, man. I think the Browns are a great play this week in real life, and I'm absolutely going to take a shot at that under.
Okay.
Give me the over on that, Barons.
Yeah, I think I'm on the under as well. I have this at 20-13, so the under should hit. Linsky says, give me the Browns. Carter says, good point. Garrett dominated the first few games last year, even more than normal. Chris says, to me, this is a top 5 pick this week. The Browns should win. Maybe not a runaway, but they should definitely win. I could see 24-21, 24-6. 24-21 is good enough for the -2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. John says, I like the Browns more if Flacco was still their quarterback. Well, Flacco's gone. Maybe Jameis Winston.
Don't sleep on Winston, man. That defense is good enough to overcome an interception or two.
Yep.
And that guy can just throw.
Yeah. Kimiko says, I feel like the Seahawks are on the money line. A suggestion for a partner for a 2-team parlay. Colts. Any thoughts there for a 2-team parlay? I mean, how high do you want to go? I mean, like the Bengals are the easy one, but yeah, that's gonna be a high money line. So maybe go ahead.
No, I mean, if you want to,
you could the Browns.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cleveland and the Colts. That's not a bad one. Or Seattle, I guess, would be the one he wants.
Yeah, Seattle plus Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's tight enough to where I don't think you're losing a ton there on that parlay.
Yeah. The real Democry says it seems like Amari Cooper always plays amazing against the Cowgirls. So yeah, it's it's a revenge game for him too. The real question is, what will Tom Brady make of this game? Also, where are the new adventures of Tom Brady's haircuts? We used to have a segment on the site called The Adventures of Tom Brady's Haircuts, where because he used to have these weird haircuts and I used to write stories about them. So that was always a fun time. But I could only find so many pictures, I ran out of them. I guess I could use AI now, but it's whatever. Under 5.5 massages for Watson this year.
Over,
yeah.
Yes.
Line Kick says Lions 35, Rams 17. Don't sleep on Watson or risk sleeping near him. Nice. And then week 1 survivor pool, I like the Bengals week 1. Yes, yeah, definitely. We talked about them before. We like the Bengals as well. All right, so Tom Brady's hate for the Cowboys, so definitely locking the Browns. I'm curious to hear what Brady's like. So, all right, Sunday night game, Rams at the Lions. This line is 3.5. Not sure if some threes appeared. Yeah, it looks like 3.5 across the board. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, 51 number that I'm gonna stay away from a total standpoint. Nice super chats rolling in there. That's always nice.
Yeah, real quick. Can't make an eagle is $4.99. Thank you so much. Make an eagle and Slew 555. Thank you so much. So he says your line -6. Rams no Donald anymore, playing backup left tackle. Linebacker Ernest Jones is gone. Lions got stronger. Your line, Lions -6. No play. Lions blow them out. IMO. Okay, so I think Slew makes some good points there. I want to hear what you have to say.
No, go ahead. He paid for that. Why don't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like initially I was thinking about taking the Rams because it was 3.5. It's a revenge game.
Yep.
And so 3.5, as I always say, is like the toughest line to bet. Like you really need a great reason to bet the 3.5. Now, I think you make some good points. Like Alaric Jackson's out. It's a big deal. Joe Noteboom can't block. He's not going to be able to block Aiden Hutchinson. Ernest Jones being gone is definitely a factor. I don't know why the Rams traded him. I guess they couldn't re-sign him, but still, it's a weird time to trade him. And yeah, the Lions with DJ Reader there and no Aaron Donald. It's a big difference compared to last time. So yeah, my personal line is Lions -6, which may sound like a big deal that is the line is 3.5 and my personal spread is 6. But if you actually if you do the math, like the difference between -3.5 and -6 is not that substantial.
Right.
The only number you're getting there is 4 and 5. If those aren't key numbers anymore. Actually, 4 has gone way down in probability just because of other results, and 5 is just barely anything in the NFL. There are barely any 5-point results. So it's not like 3.5 and 6. There's a 2.5 point favorite difference there. Think about the difference between 5.5 and 8, which is that would be like monumental because you get 6 and 7, which are two of the top 3 key numbers in the NFL, or the difference between 3.5 and 1. You get 3, which is the biggest key number in the NFL. So the difference between 3.5 and 6 is just not that big of a deal. However, I do think I could end up on the Lions for maybe a unit. I just really worry about a Stafford backdoor cover. They have the weapons to do it, and if anyone is going to backdoor, you look at if you were to rank the top 8 to 10 quarterbacks to get a backdoor cover this year, at any point this year, Stafford is certainly one of them. He can throw a lot. He can throw really well with his 2 receivers. And on top of those receivers, he also has Demarcus Robinson, who was really good last year, Kyron Williams as a guy out of the backfield, and then someone not to sleep on is Jordan Whittington, who's a rookie receiver, 6th-round pick. I like him a lot. I think that he could be a good player if one of those receivers gets injured. He's going to step in. I actually think that he's going to be a really good player. So they have so many weapons to get a backdoor cover. That's my concern here. Is just the backdoor, and I think that it's definitely live. I think the Lions will probably be up by 10 for most of the game, but then that just opens up a backdoor touchdown to get the 3 at the end. So that's my worry. So like I said, I might be on the Lions for a unit, maybe 2. But if it was -3, I would be much more bullish on the Lions. But 3.5 is really tough line to bet. So so Slew, thank you for the super chat. Just really appreciate your contributions as always. So Eytan, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, look, I think you knocked it for me. There's value to bet in real life if you want to push this up to maybe an alt, knowing that there isn't that much difference. So if I had control of what I'm doing, and there you go, Slew and Red Eye mentioned that the alt line of 5.5. You may not even need that depending on what 4.5 or even looks like, depending on the return there. But yeah, I think that's what I'd rather do than anything. I'm not putting it on the card just because of the hook and Stafford. I can't trust that, and it's not worth it because of the revenge game and the fact that the Rams have the talent to get up and down the field. I know Aaron Donald's out and what have you, but this team with Stafford losing, their season ending in Detroit, there's way too much motivation there, and it's a stay away on the card. But in real life, I'm with you, and I think the value comes from pushing that alt line. Maybe you want to take a shot at the under, that's fine, but I'm staying away from the total.
Laughing at this, John Sanders, 411 super chat. Thank you so much, John. Will Cooper Kupp be last year's Puka Nacua? You said ask that all summer. Who's this year's Puka Nacua? Could it be Cooper Kupp? I don't know. Cooper Kupp's 31. I don't know if he's going to last the whole year. I think I mentioned it. Jordan Whittington, he's a receiver from Texas. I think he's legit. I think he's legit talent. The problem is he's stuck behind those 2 guys right now. But if he has a chance, if one of those 2 guys gets injured, definitely pick up Jordan Whittington in fantasy. I think he's going to be awesome.
Nice.
So, So that thank you, John.
Thank
really
you, John.
Appreciate it. Yeah. We've had Carter asking you do teasers. Yeah. Well, I'll do a teaser of the week at the end of the show for sure. And Cincinnati is going to be part of it. So I like this new guy, way more exotic than Hot Jake and a man of the people. So
You got
Chris,
it, Chris. Happy to be here, back here for sure.
yeah, yeah. So Sean McVay is a hell of a week one coach. Okay, this is something else that I kind of figured out. There are a handful of coaches who have a great record in week one, just against the spread. Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, Sean McVay is one of them. I think Sean McVay in week one is 6-1 against the spread.
Wow.
However, if you look at all the head coaches who have these great records, they tend to win against mediocre or bad teams. If they go against like really good teams, then they don't win. And McVay's one loss was to Buffalo in, what was it, 2022, where they it's week one, Buffalo, and then they got blown out. So generally you want to bet these coaches if they have easy matchups, but if they don't have the same edge. So that is what I'd look out for. So just don't bet McVay just because he has a great week one record.
Good advice. I like that.
Yeah. So it says Lions are stacked. How the Rams stop them? The Rams have improved their secondary. I will say that they lost Donald, but I like what they did with the secondary. But I do think the Lions will be able to score pretty easily in this game. Although I think the Rams might be able to score a lot too, especially in like garbage time. Let's see. Carter says no good teaser. I actually like one of the teaser partners. To talk about it in a second. Chris says, "Are you free to bet this game? I want to try and enjoy it." On that note, I can't wait to bet it 8-10. Exactly. That's what always happens. Jacob, when he was on the show, used to say, "It's a primetime game. I'm going to bet it." So Pro says people are going to learn not to bet against Bonix.
Yeah, I'll take that lesson the hard way.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Lions game should be over 51. Any thoughts on the total?
It's Sunday night football, man. I'd be inclined to go under both the first half and the total.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think when you get to Sunday night, people rush to make up for a lot of the daily loss, and it's coming in the fact of overs and favorites. And of course, we know that doesn't mean that they always miss, what have you. But what I like to do for Sunday night, first and foremost, that game more than any other game, but to a lesser extent Monday night, is look at, all right, what's more likely to happen? The favorite or the dog hitting or the total going under, right? Like those are the two contrary plays to the public, at least that we know. And sometimes neither makes sense, right? So there are plenty of times where I'll take a favorite on a primetime game or something along those lines. But I think when they do make sense, it's like my first line, my first check. And in this case, I'm with you. Like this is a line that can be probably pushed up to 6.5 in real life, where you would stop to bet it there, knowing you're going to lose a little bit of that key at 6. But still, my point is that I can easily see the Lions covering this at 3.5. I just don't see both favorite and over in week one Sunday night football. It's not conspiracy, anything along those lines. It's just we see Sunday night. We see prime time. We see teams take their time. We see teams, especially in the first half, wait and then push things in the second quarter, 2-minute warning, things like that. I don't think we'll just open up to a shootout. Like this is not just like, the intro to a movie where it's guys just blasting back and forth. I think it's going to take some time. With that said, I'm not going to bet it, but I would lean under.
Interesting. Okay. It's a good point. I didn't really have a strong conviction there on the total.
I don't.
Okay. We give weekly survivor pool picks. Well, we already talked Bengals week one. I have it on the site, so you can check that out, but I will mention it on the show for sure. Chris said, didn't prime Stafford lead 4 or 5 comebacks in a single season? Yeah. It feels like Stafford's like the king of garbage time. So that's why I'm really concerned about the backdoor,
Yep.
Let's see. I gave you the stat where the Bills played the Rams. Yeah. It was you, John. So Lions, like he says, you guys are just talking. So missed Saturday show, but can we get back on track around here, please? So I missed Saturday show as well. I was throwing up and on the toilet.
That's not good.
It's so brutal.
They didn't want to see that. They may think they wanted to see that, but they didn't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Chris, I don't know, but it was
in this case. Yeah,
it was ugly. My kids got a stomach virus, and I caught what they had. Is not pretty. Once and for all, who do you think will win the WNBA championship this year?
It's not the Aces. We know that.
I didn't know that. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you anything about WNBA except for Fever. Their tickets are selling for a lot because Kenny, who's on the show on Wednesday, he bought a bunch of Fever tickets and then sold them for like 3x profit or 4x profit.
Good for him.
Yeah. Hey, Eytan, the Broncos will finish as the worst team in the NFL because they have no talent on offense except for Sutton, and they got no talent on defense except for Surtain, and Bo Nix is overrated. So what do you think about that?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think, and plus in the AFC.
My ears. I'm not looking to tail anything Denver related, so I'm with you.
Yeah, and they're in the AFC, so they're not going to have too many easy games. Sue says Stafford had the most comebacks because when he was playing for the Lions, they were almost always behind the fourth quarter. It's true. It's a good point. Yeah. Well, you think they will be behind here, I think. So, but that's a good point. All right. Monday night game, Jets at Niners. This line is 4. It's fallen. I don't know if it rose ever since the news broke.
It didn't rise.
Okay, so yeah, the news that broke today is Trent Williams re-signed. We didn't know if he was going to play, but yeah, they agreed to a contract extension, so he's going to play. So it's pretty significant. So, what are your thoughts here?
Look, man, I think you've got a couple of things that, and on paper, this is a Niners win. I understand that, but I'm on the Jets +4 in real life. I'm not going to push this for the card. The reality is, I just don't have enough conviction compared to the other games that we've mentioned. I actually think our card is set, to be honest with you, with the 5 that we have. In real life, I did bet the Jets at 4. I did think that this might drop to 3.5, possibly 3, depending on how this thing played out. So I was going to at least take that risk that it wasn't going to go up through 6.5. So there's no real difference if it goes back to 4.5, 5, what have you. But 2 big things. One, I think the Jets are I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Jets are undervalued because we didn't see Aaron Rodgers last year. Mm-hmm. And Aaron Rodgers is not cooked. It's not like he's going to forget how to play. And people are looking at last year's Jets team and saying, oh, well, okay. If there's protection up front, then you have a guy who's dangerous. There's clearly some talent around him. One thing I like about Aaron Rodgers, a healthy Aaron Rodgers at least, is that Robert Saleh doesn't have to worry about the offense. This is a guy that's not a good head coach. He's a great defensive-minded coach. He needs to focus on one thing. He can't be constantly overstepping and worried about his job because they're on their 15th quarterback of the year. So I think that there's a little stability right there. You also pinch a couple of key vets from San Francisco on defense for the Jets, and I think that helps them coming in here. And look, the reality is that this is not a 9-10 point line. Oh, the Jets, they suck. They don't. That's the one side of it. The other side of it is I get that he's not going to step in and be the big X player that the 49ers are relying on each week. But you had a player who was shot, and that's going to impact them at least week 1. Okay. Like, this is not a rally around win one for the Gipper situation. This is like you're living in San Francisco, and now all of a sudden your life is just changed as far as around you, right? You didn't think about that. Now you think about that. And it's hard for me to think that doesn't impact them at least. So I'm not racing to the window to slam this, but I think that between what's happened with San Fran, and I think that the Jets are still being undervalued because of how public of a favorite San Fran is. Now, look, I think that you can make 15 arguments against what I'm saying on the other side of it, which is why I'm not racing to push this on the card, but I did take the Jets.
Okay. I was going to side with the Jets as well before Williams got the extension. Now I'm with the Niners, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to bet this game. I worry about like what you said regarding the 49ers situation with Pearsall. Also, you had the whole Super Bowl loser thing. The Niners had a huge, a very long season, and now they have to come back from that as favorites here. And so I just worry about their situation here, but I do think they match up well against the Jets because the Jets, while they were great against the pass last year, they were pretty weak to the run. And the one guy they signed, Leaky Fotu, he's out. So he's supposed to be their new run stuffer. So he's going to be missing. So Christian McCaffrey should have a nice matchup. Plus, this whole circadian rhythms thing. I don't know if you're a believer in that, but the East Coast teams playing on the West Coast at night, they generally do very poorly. just because it's the opposite of the West Coast playing the East Coast at 1 o'clock. So not that always applies, but generally, it's not a good situation to be in. Plus, I think someone said it in the chat here. Aaron Rodgers has done very poorly against the 49ers throughout his career. So with all that factored in, I'm going to be leaning toward the Niners, but I think you make a good case for the Jets as well. I think you can go either way here. I'm not rushing to bet this one.
Yep, I think we're on the same page there at least.
Yeah. So we have some comments here before we head out. Also, I'm gonna talk about my teaser. So yeah, 49ers smart, 49ers cheap, not cheap, Bengals cheap and dumb. So basically, yeah, the same thing. Chris saying I secretly moved into Walt's attic. Well, luckily I don't have an attic, so unless like I have an attic and I don't know about it. So there's actually a running joke my friends used to have because I never used to come into the basement. Now I'm in my basement. That's where my office is. But I never used to come down here. And my friends used to say, like, I bet we can like live in Walt's basement for like days and he will never know. When I live by myself, when I had this house by myself. So anyway, Stanley says 49ers will win this game because Aaron Rodgers struggled against the Niners. They were kryptonite. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. But John says Rodgers homecoming. 49ers always start slowly when losing a Super Bowl. I love dying with the Jets winning. Yeah, you have the whole Super Bowl loser curse. Like those teams generally do poorly. Any concerns about Saleh knowing all the 49ers played from 5 years ago? Yeah, it's a long time. So he says, I'm new at Survivor Pool. Can I pick whomever New England plays week 2? Pick Bengals versus New England. Yeah, you can. You'll be able to fade whoever.
New England, right?
Yeah, you could do that. The Patriots are not. I don't think they're going to go in 17. Maybe they will, but
they'll
probably
win 4,
not.
maybe 5. They'll win anywhere from 3 to 5 games, I'd say.
Yeah, I think I had him at 3 and 14 or 2 and 15. I think so. Week 2 they play. They play the Seahawks at home. It's not like a great situation. Now, note that you can't do this every week because they play the Jets twice, Dolphins twice, and Bills twice. So if you plan on doing this, you have to select which divisional game you're going to bet against them. So I do plan on fading the Patriots heavily this year, but not every week necessarily. Chris says, I love the Jets here. Rodgers, a quarterback, means Hack is less of an OC. Exactly. Yeah. As long as Hackett's not involved, that's the way you want to go. So let's see here. Reddick for the Jets still not resigned. Yeah, that is a big issue too. Yeah. Just no Hassan Reddick. Trent Williams signs a plus. No Reddick is a minus. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, Reddick's situation is so strange. It's bizarre that they would make that trade without having a plan to resign him. It's weird. Saleh knows the offense probably better than anyone. Shannon's
I wouldn't say better than anyone, but he's got. It's more about the coach, I think, than it is about the personnel.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's been a long time too. That's a new quarterback. Chris says the real question is who's on Walt's MNF crew, hoping Joe gracefully stepped aside, let Kamala take his. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like Kamala is on the new MNF crew, so you can read all about that. Walt lives on the ground with the crab people. This is no, I don't. The whole point is I don't go on the ground.
That's right.
I avoid the crab people.
That's right.
Yeah. Plus the bye week, you have to avoid the bye week. Nuggets says Patriots win 2. So yeah, Nuggets who's on the show sometimes for fantasy. All right. So before we head out, my teaser for the week: Giants plus 7.5, Bengals -2. I think the Bengals are an auto include. Giants, I have a tough time seeing them losing by more than a touchdown to Minnesota. Now they're going to lose by more than the touchdown to a lot of teams this year, but not Minnesota. Minnesota, like Sam Darnold's not going to come in on the road and win a game by more than 8 points. I'd be shocked by that. So this is my teaser. Survivor pick Bengals. We talked about that, and then our card, Eytan.
Yes,
I have Titans plus 3.5, Steelers plus 3, Panthers plus 4, Bengals -8, Cardinals plus 6. Am I missing anyone there?
Not at all. I think that's really sharp. I like it.
Okay. We'll talk again. Obviously, the injuries and stuff like that. So hopefully it doesn't disrupt anything there. But I like that card quite a bit. My personal card I don't think I'm going to the Steelers. Instead of the Steelers, I'm probably going to have the Raiders instead. So all this is contingent on injuries. But we will have updates throughout the week. Because of crab people. Why is the crab in the food emojis instead of the animals? That's a good question. All right. Anyway, thanks guys for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it.
Guys.
Thanks especially to Can't Make an Eagle 499, John Sanders 411, and Sluve with the 555 super chats.
Nice.
I just really appreciate you guys. You really keep the show going. Like I said, the YouTube ads pay nothing, so it's just amazing that you guys really contribute all the time. So thank you. We'll be back tomorrow talking DFS. Kenny won't be on the show. We'll have a replacement for Kenny. Kenny has work this week, so he'll be back next week. Thursday after the Thursday night game with Tom. And then on Saturday, we'll have a show on Saturday as well. So really looking forward to it. It says Texas or Michigan on Saturday. Do you have a lean there? I
do not have anything on that game yet. I may at Shander bets. I may, but on Friday, but not now.
Okay.
Sorry.
I lean toward Michigan. I don't think I'm going to have anything on that game either. But there's a lot of public money on Texas. It's just a public fade. But I don't have much of an opinion on that game. So I will have college picks up on Wednesday afternoon. But that won't be one of the games. Yeah, Texas minus 7.5. That's pretty insane. When will Jacob be back? Jacob might be a guest here. And by the way, Eytan, your head on Stanley's body looks it's like a little off kilter. There you go. I love that. Anyway, Jacob is he might be a guest sometimes, but he had to step away from the show. Unfortunately, but yeah, we have Eytan here. I thought it's amazing guest. So glad to have him on the show for Tuesdays now. So. Texas is stacked. Yeah, it's true. So anyway, thanks guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Eytan, do you want to shout anything on the way out?
At Shander bets. That's the best way to get me. And always appreciate it, Walt. Thanks for the time and love the convo. Thanks to everybody out there too for making this fun.
Yeah, follow at Shander bets, and we'll be back tomorrow and talk to you guys later.
See you.